Welcome all of my viewers to Chariot LARP Alpha. The alpha test is, this is just a test. This is the alpha test. And this is the very first part, which is character creation. So all of this is super new. And we have two players who are going to be creating their characters today. We have Jody Lee and Kathleen, and they're going to be making their characters for the game and hopefully asking me some questions about it and just talking a little bit more about how the characters work in the game and looking at the personalized character creation process. I'm just going to post the link on Facebook here so people who want to follow along can. I also recognize that the sound quality is not going to be the best. I'm still working on that. This is why we do alpha tests. But if at any time you have questions, you can pop them into the chat room. I am moderating that. Since this is character creation, sometimes my moderators might pop in and answer a couple of questions. Nick has all of the links to the website and everything like that, so he'll help you out there. Right now I'm just waiting for Facebook to load so I can go ahead and post this link because most of our audience kind of lives there. It's pretty interesting. So that is what we're up to today. So to get started, Jody Lee, if you could tell me a little bit about your LARP experience, if you have any, and why you were interested in signing up for Chariot LARP Alpha.
So I have never done LARPing before this summer.
All right.
And I have never done tabletop gaming or, I know I've heard of Dungeons and Dragons, but I've never participated in anything like that. The closest I've ever come is I work at the Renaissance Festival in my state for 8 weekends a year.
Nice.
And that's I guess sort of like LARPing with with an audience of thousands.
There is some crossover, yeah.
This just sounded interesting, and I wanted to try.
Awesome. Do you do a lot of online gaming?
No, I've never done online gaming either.
Awesome. Great. Well, that's fantastic because I really am trying to create an environment where both new and seasoned LARPers feel welcome. So I'm really glad that you decided to sign up, and we're happy to have you on board. So the premise of this game, and I'm sure that you've read over it, but I'm more describing this for the viewers who are watching this whole character creation process. The premise for the game is that we have the captain, who is me, and a bunch of characters, 9 characters, who are going to embark on a ship headed for Proxima B because in the later part of the century, Earth is war-torn, bad things are happening, we're going to be getting some news updates, and these people in this LARP, we are meeting online. That's part of the LARP. It's a digital LARP through and through. And we are meeting online and talking about what it means to leave everyone we love behind. Even our pets. You'll see my doggo make an appearance in this LARP. But we're leaving everybody behind, and this LARP is about that grieving process and letting go. And so I'd like to start with a lot of discussion out of character, actually, about what your comfort level is, because we can go pretty deep with it. Like, I've played LARPs where I'm like crying over the fact that, I missed people in real life and that my character misses somebody in the game. Or if you prefer to stay away from that, we can stay away from that as well. So what kind of like comfortability level do you have as far as exploring grief in the game?
I think I would be pretty comfortable with exploring grief.
Excellent. Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
I've had a fair amount of grief in my own life, and I've learned to work through it. And it would be interesting to explore grief in a safe place.
Yes, and that's the kind of environment that we look to establish here. It's really interesting because, it's streamed, so people are going to see you. We do have moderators on the stream to make sure that the trolls stay away and stuff like that. But, the people you're gaming with, it's going to be a safe environment. And we have a lot of rules set up that we'll go over for that too. But today we're just going to focus on the kind of character that you want to play. Now, I have several options here in terms of what kind of role you would like to play. And again, all of this takes place on Earth for the online segment here. And we're talking about the kind of role that you're assigned and you're preparing to play as you launch into space in about a month's time. So you don't have to actually play out somebody with this role, but you are going to have like their knowledge. So if you choose to be a ship's engineer, you need to be a little comfortable, like at least pretending to know some stuff about that. Me, I'm not really that kind of person, but I've watched enough Star Trek, so like maybe I could fake it. So, so I'm going to give you some options, and feel free to interrupt me. I have several options here. Just tell me what kind of role, if any of these, really appeals to you. And I want to match you with something that fits with your comfortability. If you're looking to go outside of your comfort zone, maybe fits with that. And maybe touches on one or two real life things that you're good at. So for example, I often play a political character because I try to be very diplomatic in real life. So keeping all that in mind and what you'd like to play and what you're comfortable playing, go ahead and call out, if you hear anything that speaks to you, or if you want to just wait until I'm through reading through them, that's fine too. So we have different types of people on the ship. It's crew that runs the ship, and then we've got civilians who live on the ship who are going to eventually contribute to the population of Proxima B. These people will not make it to Proxima B, but their like grandchildren and great-grandchildren will actually be founding this new settlement. So that's kind of the idea, and that's part of the grief there too, is that you're leaving Earth, you're not going to see Proxima B. Your life once you leave is going to be on a spaceship. So keeping all of that in mind, I'm just going to read through a few of them, and then you can go ahead and tell me what appeals to you. So we have crew members, which you want to think about in like a slightly more military sense, or more like what you would see on Star Trek. And these are the crew of the Chariot. We have command and senior officers. For example, I'm playing the captain, but maybe somebody would want to be my second in command. We've got the ship maintenance and operations, the ship's engineer, the navigator, the security team member, the civilian relations expert, people who work with sensor calibrations and flight command. Moving on from the crew, we have civilian scientists, which play a very significant role in the future of our civilization here. And civilian scientists are charged with advancing society and progressing scientific achievements. So examples of civilian scientists are very, very similar to what you'd find in real life. Botanist, biologist, a computer scientist, a microtechnology expert, an astrophysicist, an artificial intelligence developer, a terraforming engineer, to make the land work properly with our new civilization on the new planet, and a civil engineer. So those are the kinds of roles you could play as a scientist. Not limited to that either. You could play another type of scientist. Then we have the civilian creative, because it's my vision that in the future, people will hopefully value things like creativity, and the game does have a progressive bent, so we're assuming that people value stuff like art and writing and having healthcare and the basics, right? So civilian creatives, examples could include an artist, a musician, a writer or a playwright, a chronicler, which is somebody who in and out of game would take note of everything that's going on, and maybe even produce some cool in-game like writing about it. An actor, a dancer, or a library scientist. I've also put under creative because I think it's important to have that knowledge. Then we have the civilian educator. Civilian educators are responsible for the educational needs of the passengers. As passengers come from all over the world, it's a particular challenge. Education can include primary, secondary, collegiate, postgraduate, and continuing education, as well as job training, because eventually, we need this knowledge to pass on to our great-grandchildren to actually be able to develop a settlement. So we kind of want to make that part of our lives on the ship. We then have the care workers and the medical corps. Due to the failures of privatized medicine on Earth, The care workers and medical corps operate as an independent organization tasked with providing universal health care to all inhabitants of the ship. So they function as their own unit, and they have their own autonomy because people in our civilization did not like the idea of not having health care. And we want to make sure that they have their own agency. So a care worker or medical corps character could include somebody in the following fields: mental health, physical health, medical research, physical fitness, massage, crew and civilian relationships, elder and special needs care, child care, and veterinary services. So a lot of the same things that we need in real life. We need people for those jobs. We then have the second to last option, Civilian Ship Operations Unit, or CSOPs. Many of the menial tasks aboard the ship, such as cleaning, food production, waste disposal, are automated tasks performed by the ship. CSOPs personnel, they kind of keep all that functioning. Without them, there is no waste disposal, food services, and more. So you can see how even though it might feel, kind of difficult to play a character like a janitor, if you were the person in charge of like the janitorial services, you would actually be like a technician on the ship, ensuring that works, and it would actually give you a lot of power. We're not going to play this portion of the game on the ship, but just to kind of consider the type of autonomy they have. So CSOPs includes janitorial services, cleaning and laundry services, food prep, growth and harvesting, because on the ship we'll be growing some of our food, civilian technical assistance and support, like the IT person, computer database and communication system maintenance, water filtration systems analyst, life support systems, data transmission, backup and storage, and system security. Obviously, most of these are crucial functions to keeping the ship operational. And then lastly, we do have ship politics, and the passenger complement is really small. There's 233 people total on the ship. We play with 10 total, including myself, the captain. And the chariot operates under a provisional government. So if you're interested in a political role and managing the votes of everybody, which happens once every week, even before we get on the ship, that would be a cool role for you. And so all of the players, any issues that we come up with as we're formulating our what it's going to be like on the ship and talking about that and going through this grief, issues that come up, we can vote on them once per week, and one or more political characters will manage the voting process themselves. So those are the different options for you. Do any of those things sound appealing, or are there any real life jobs that you have or that you want in real life that you would like to try out as a character?
Several of them sounded interesting.
Okay.
So I am a biologist in real life.
All right.
And an educator.
Mm-hmm.
I teach college. I've taught high school. I've taught at medical school. So things that sounded interesting, because I don't want to just recreate my day job, might be either so there was a ship's control person, an officer that had civilian relations, and I'm not sure what that would entail. If that was just answering complaints and trying to keep everybody happy, I'm not sure I would enjoy that. But if it were more along the lines of working with people who felt needy,
Mm-hmm.
who had already had grief issues, already had concerns of various kinds, related to their health, their mental health.
Yeah, there are two things I'm thinking about. So there's a counselor role, and then we could also have an assistant counselor role, or like a civil, kind of mold the civilian relationship role into that. The counselor is actually going to be leading a fair amount of the game, leading people through grief. And so that's one possibility. It would take a little bit more preparation between us as the player and the GM. But if you were interested in doing that, that's an entirely possible thing to do. We could certainly fit that in. So the counselor position would be open, where you'd be leading people through their grief, and that would be kind of like a big part of it. Or you could be an assistant to that person, or you could be more of like a civilian relations person, as in you make sure that the crew and the scientists and the educators, you make sure that all those departments function well together. And it's more about like communication and cooperation, and that would begin at the very beginning. That would begin at the very start. So yeah, if either of those things appeal to you, we could certainly work in casting that way.
Okay. So other things that interested me
Mm-hmm.
were the idea of, so you said you would have a botanist as one of the scientists.
Yes, that's a possibility.
If there was an ethnobotanist,
Mm-hmm.
someone who looked at uses of plants for healing, for both mental healing as well as physical healing.
That's really cool.
That might be interesting. I also would be curious about the creative artistic
Mm-hmm.
side. Being an artist type might be fun.
And wouldn't it be cool to have that be your job, right? Like, that could be your job. You just make art. That would be really fun.
Because then I could involve my own grief and not managing other people's grief.
Yes.
Which is what the other has sounded like.
Yeah.
Because I've never done this before, I might be better off in a role where I'm only managing my own self and not trying to manage a bunch of other people.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. That makes sense, and you can really delve into that, and you would still be able to work with the counselor type character to express that. So, as somebody like an artist or a writer or a singer on the ship, the cool thing about it is you could actually create your own art and share it if you were comfortable, and that would be really, really fun to do. So, I want to leave it up to you. It sounds like you'd be very good in any of those roles. But my leaning, kind of as the person that will be casting you, is more towards that creative person, and kind of also giving you, and really anyone in the real world, the chance to be that as your job. I mean, imagine what it would be like if your job was, you need to prepare for this this journey, but your job for the rest of your life is just to make stuff and be creative and help other people express themselves only after you've done that yourself. So my instinct is to kind of push you in that direction a little bit. How do you feel about that?
I like that better. It would be fun to be helping others. That's what I do in my real life.
Mm-hmm.
It would be more interesting and challenging, I think, to play a creative type who was maybe a little bit fragile and had to work through my grief and come out the other side, and maybe at some point down the road be able to help others with healing, creative therapies and things. But to start out by just dealing with my own stuff.
Absolutely. And in terms of, and we're getting like more into specifics with what you're comfortable playing, because I really want to connect you with the type of character that you're comfortable with playing. Are there any family members or like specifics that you don't want me to write in? Because the way it works is I'd give you a pre-generated character, like, this is, your character name, and it would be like first name, last initial. And then you would pick your first name, and you lost a parent or something. Do you want me to avoid any specific relationships or like type of family member who has passed on in terms of that part of casting it? Because most of the grief we're going to be dealing with is you're leaving Earth and you're leaving people who are living behind, right? But we also have other things in the backstory, and I just want to make sure that I'm doing something that's comfortable for you and not giving you anything off limits or pressuring you in anything like that.
my personal backstory is so filled with people who made bad choices, let's say. And they're all gone. I'm the only survivor. And so there's probably whatever you chose would be fine, I think.
Okay, and one thing that you said really struck out to me, really stood out, is you said that you're kind of like the survivor from like this group of people. How would you feel about kind of going with that as an archetype? Now, this LARP does not include, it doesn't get too into dark themes. I'm not going to delve into like rape or any topic like that. But I do think surviving tough times is a really good theme and a really cool thing that you as your character and as a player could connect to, especially while you're playing an artist.
That would be fine.
Cool.
Artists usually are not the most well-balanced and from the happiest families anyway. So that would fit.
Excellent. So I'm thinking of giving you a character who has probably been an artist their entire life. And I do want to check also, what are your preferred pronouns? I don't want to assume gender either, or assume that you want to play the same gender as you are.
Oh, now that's an interesting thought. Well, I identify as female. I would be open to whatever gender fluid person you
Okay.
prefer.
Cool. All right.
I have lots of friends of all persuasions. So.
Yeah, and that's kind of like, I know a lot of people who like they're pretty sure, like they're sure of their gender, but they want to experience empathy through respectfully portraying a character who identifies differently, and LARP is a really cool way to do that. And to hear that kind of open-mindedness from somebody who's newer to LARPing is even cooler. So yeah, I'll take note of that too as we go along. Cool. So I'm thinking of a character who has been an artist their whole life and has kind of developed those skills over the years to a greater degree, and has coped and even survived with various traumatic events through art. And in this society in the future, there's a lot of war and difficulties surrounding that type of strife. And so I kind of see that being more of a way to involve some of the trauma without making it too personal and getting into territory that at least one or two people in the LARP are not going to be comfortable with. So we'll make it like more towards that if you're comfortable with that.
That's fine.
All right. I have some great ideas to write a character for you. I want to give you the opportunity to say anything else about the kind of character you want to play, the type of play you're looking for, or any questions that you have in general. And again, this is the alpha test, very first character creation session I'm doing, but I want to give you the chance to have some input there.
I'm sorry. A bunch of screens suddenly opened on my screen, and I was dealing with closing them.
Oh, no, that's okay.
If there was a question involved, I missed it.
No, I was just asking if you had any other preferences or questions about the game or any other requests as far as character creation that I could hopefully do for you.
No, it will be fun to release my creative side. I resonate a lot with someone like Joni Mitchell.
Okay.
Who is this talented singer and songwriter and musician, and also paints.
Yes.
And she actually prefers to paint because she doesn't have to interact with other people.
That's an interesting aspect of it too. Yeah, absolutely.
Like one of the things that she said once is she likes painting because each painting is creative and different.
Mm-hmm.
And she said nobody ever says to Van Gogh, "Hey, paint Starry, Starry Night again." And she says she sometimes gets tired of singing the same songs, but she can always paint a new painting. And so I could see being involved in more than one creative venue.
Yeah, that does make sense. That does make sense.
Oh, Tara, you just got a new.
I just got a new follower. I am being notified. So, yay, new follower. Thank you for following me. We're doing something new here. We're streaming a LARP. This is the test run of it, but we are already selling tickets to it. In chat, Nick has the information all about the LARP itself. And this is the character creation for the alpha test. So none of this is totally polished or finalized, but we're rolling through it. And Jody Lee is just about done her character creation process here. And I'm really excited about putting together a character for her. I think we covered a lot of information. One really helpful thing that she brought up that I think I'll use in the character creation process is, and I'm writing this down as I say it, asking about someone in your character's field, in the desired field that you admire. Because when she told me about why she admired Joni Mitchell and how she related to her, that gave me so many more character ideas to create somebody that hopefully she'll really feel a connection with. So this is the kind of feedback we're looking at, not just from the players, but from me too, is, wow, hey, that's a really useful thing for me to know while I'm writing characters out. So, so thank you for mentioning her. Anything else you want to add before I move on to helping Kathleen?
I think that's probably most of it. I am not a warlike person, never have been.
Okay.
I was once involved with a bar fight, but it wasn't my idea.
Oh my gosh, okay.
So I might carry a weapon, but am not a hostile kind of person.
Right.
Although I have certainly killed lots of things and eaten them.
Yeah, no, we can avoid that if you'd like. That's not a problem at all. And yeah, so that's it for you. I'm gonna take a pause for a really brief minute here, and then what I'm going to do is come back and I'm gonna help Kathleen with her character. So everybody can just hang around for just a minute. Jody Lee, you know how to connect with me on Facebook. So if you have anything else that you think of that you want to add to your character before you go ahead and get your character, go ahead and let me know in the next few days and I'll hook you up. So right now I'm just going to take a brief pause, but I will be right back. Hang on one second.
When do you expect to have the character?
In the next 4 to 5 days for you.
Okay.
Yeah, for everybody that's going today on Tuesday, it'll be about 4 to 5 days. You're going to get your characters ahead of the Thursday people. And it's a small run. It's 10 people, including myself. So you're good there.
All right. Thank you.
All right. I will be right back, everyone. Just hang on a sec, and then we'll help Kathleen with her character. And I'm really excited because I've LARPed with her before a little bit. I'm really excited to see who she plays. I'll be right back.
So Jody, you haven't LARPed that much in the past?
So I didn't actually completely answer her question. The only thing I've really done before this year is working at the Renaissance Fair. This summer I participated in Dragon Thrones.
Oh, that was a really good one. I heard a lot of really raving reviews about Dragon Thrones.
My husband was very interested. He saw it on Facebook and he said, "I'd really like to do this." And I so often am the one who says, "I really want to do this," and he does what I want to do. So I said, "Absolutely, let's go try it." And
yeah, I heard it was so much fun.
Yeah, was very interesting.
I couldn't go. I was unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, but I was directing a LARP event, so I couldn't go to Dragon Thrones because it was the same weekend of my LARP event.
Oh, wow.
So I wanted to go. Like I said, I heard there was a lot of really great things. One of my friends played one of the kings, so I was really excited.
Who was that?
Chris.
Oh, sure. He was my king.
Oh, he was your king. Okay. Yeah, no, I know him really well, and so he was telling me.
Chris Setchel. Yeah.
Yes. Oh yeah, he was telling me all about it and how much fun he had and the amazing speeches he apparently gave.
He did. He was like,
amazing.
he was the center of attention more than once. It's true.
Well, he's really good at that. He's just a good, charismatic guy that's able to pull that kind of attention. So, yeah, I heard a lot of really great things about Dragon Thrones. I wasn't able to go, but it's a really great experience for if that's the first time you really got involved in a large setting. Everybody there seemed like they were very high-quality role players, so it's a good opportunity to kind of get deeply involved and kind of throw yourself into an environment. And those are the best kind of LARPs to be in.
Well, good. It was certainly fun, and I guess we're already signed up to do Dragon Thrones too. So.
Yay!
Fantastic.
I'm taking care of one quick admin business. Kind of interesting. This LARP has inspired a lot of discussion online, so my day has been spent actually answering a lot of questions about it. And my dear friend Nick in chat here has been helping me field all these questions. And yeah. And my roommate, Tina, who is also obviously a good friend of mine, she streams full time, and she's been fielding questions about it too. And she actually just came into my room to say, like, oh, I'm getting questions about your LARP. And I'm like, oh, I guess we should get you some info on that then. So, yeah. Yeah, so, cool. Well, great. So, Jody Lee, if you have any other questions, shoot me a message and we'll go ahead and get that, get some answers and get some info to you. And I will be getting your character to you in a few days, which is super fun. I can't wait to make the characters.
Great. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. And you'll be getting a packet of other information, some of which is written, some of which is halfway written, that will kind of help you find your character's place in our society as it will be in the future. So that'll be really exciting too.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. And have a great meeting. And thanks so much for your time.
We're going to do improv all evening.
Excellent. That's the way to do it. Have fun.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye. Kathleen, it's so good to see you.
Very good to see you too.
Yeah.
I'm really excited to take part of your alpha testing. I was just
I'm so excited.
I was getting to learn more about her LARP experiences, and so we got sidetracked with that. But yeah, I'm really good to help you out, and I'm excited to take part in this alpha testing.
Awesome. Marshall is in the chat. He's one of our other players. Marshall, if you would like to make your character tonight, yes. It's really just a question and answer interview session. And if you have the time tonight, I would love to help you make your character. We can absolutely do another one. We only had 2, so a third would be fantastic. Kathleen and I will be done in about 30 minutes. So, yeah. 30 minutes. You probably posted it. Yeah, you did post it, but I was away because I was talking to Tina. But yeah, Marshall, if you want to hang around for about 30 minutes, I can help you make your character then. If not, you can get first pick at a time slot for Thursday. So, great. Okay, so Kathleen, yay. You know about LARPing, and I know about your LARP experience, but since we do have some people watching here, and since this will be recorded and put up on YouTube, go ahead and explain to everybody what your LARPing background is, and feel free to drop the name of your favorite game and tell everyone all about it.
Sure. So I've been LARPing for 11 years at this point, since 2006. So it's a long time. I've had a couple different experiences with LARPs. My primary game is Mystic Realms, and I've been with them for pretty much the whole 11 years. But I've also done Vampire the Masquerade and several other different parlor LARPs. And Yeah, so I've also done a ton of D&D and a lot of experience of just doing improv role playing in general and improv games as an actor. I also have worked as a screen actor and a voice actor, so I have a lot of experience of like taking a character, really diving into them and getting to know their feelings and really being that character and not myself while I'm at a game. Primarily at the main game that I play at, Mystic Realms, the character I've been playing for the last 4 years has gone through a lot of really emotional, traumatic things over the course of this time. And so I have had experiences where I've broken down and cried and had people like pull me aside and talk to me as this character. And I really wasn't me during that time. So it was kind of fun. So I have a good experience of being, emotionally compromised, if you want to call it that, as a character, and also just playing that silly character that is really just me just kind of having fun and letting loose, but not necessarily diving into the character. So I've had both the kind of experiences as a LARPer, but definitely over the last several years, as I grew more as an actor, I've definitely dived more into being a character and less myself.
Awesome. So, given that experience and knowing a bit about the kind of LARP we're running here and the setting, um, what type of character are you looking to play? Do you want to go for somebody super emotional? Do you want to dive into exploring grief? Or do you want to kind of stray away from that a bit?
I think I would be comfortable playing an emotional character. Not really necessarily need to be grief stricken, but I would definitely be open to playing an emotional character.
Okay.
But if you need somebody that is more in a leadership role, I also have experiences of playing that character, which is the only one holding back all their emotions while everybody's breaking down around them.
Mm-hmm. That's really good to know,
Either
too.
one would work for me.
Awesome. So, just knowing your LARP experience and having worked with you before, my inclination is to, my only like preference for casting you is actually to put you in a role that will allow you to kind of push plot forward and, do a little bit more of a leadership type thing and kind of assist what I'm trying to do as the captain. So, really, as far as I'm concerned, that's my only preference. You did hear me go through the different character possibilities, the different groups, I guess we're going to call them, or I don't know, I need a name for them, like guilds or segments or something. But we do have we have crew members, we have civilian scientists, we have civilian creatives, we have civilian educators, we have care workers and medical corps, we have CSOPs, which is Civilian Ship Operations Unit, and then we have the ship politicians who get involved in bringing up some political issues, and I have some cool ideas in mind and some cool background story on that I'm sure anybody with some political LARPing experience could dig into and push here and there.
My second. I have played. Yeah, you're right. I have played a lot of political characters before, and I'm actually pretty well known in our LARP for playing two distinct political characters. So I could go the political route, or if your science / healthcare major doctor is also a high-ranking crew member that could help push plot, I can also be somebody like that as well. So either one would work for me. I think it would be interesting to either be the head doctor or like one of the head doctors, or somebody that's the politician. Either one can help push these kind of role-play moments that you're looking to bring out of your alpha testers.
Fantastic. So I think, having heard you said that, I know that people as well as their characters are multifaceted. So my inclination is to put you as somebody like maybe like a doctor or scientist, kind of like a groundbreaking researcher who has maybe some future ambitions for politics and some really solid political beliefs. And you and I can work on what we're comfortable with there. What I'm trying to do in this game politically is it does take place in the future. We're going under the assumption that all of these characters and anybody that's interested enough in preserving the species to kind of leave the planet will be progressive enough to want healthcare for themselves, and they'll be and to not die and stuff, and they'll be progressive enough to like want their children to be educated and stuff like that. So so with that in mind, it really presents kind of a different sort of palette for what kind of things would a doctor who is interested in politics or a scientist who's interested in politics really be pushing for or thinking about? And we might even get more into topics like cloning or artificial intelligence and things that we could comfortably debate and push more for future, stuff than things that affect our society now, because we're going to assume that certain things are a given. So I'm thinking that it would be cool to cast you as some kind of like medical or science person with with strong political beliefs, and you and I can talk offline about what exactly that would mean, and what kind of options I could give you, because I've got a few in mind. One thing about streaming the entire process, and I've been very transparent about the game design process. I even streamed most of the writing this game design out. One downfall to it is if there's anything secret or that I don't want to like reveal right away to all of the players and all the people who are going to be watching the game, is it can come through in stream. So there aren't a lot of things like that. The mission of the LARP, the out of game goals of the LARP, and the in game goals of the LARP are extremely transparent. However, there are some details that I think it would be really cool to allow the players to reveal. So I have some stuff in mind there. I know what kind of characters Kathleen is capable of playing. She's a pro. She's a pro. She's even done like coordinated combat. It's posted on YouTube somewhere. Am I right? And that's cool.
Yeah, I've done stage combat. That's a lot of fun.
Yeah. So that's cool.
A spear towards the face is probably the scariest thing I've done so far.
Yeah. So knowing her capabilities, I have a pretty good sense of where I'm going to cast her. Now, in terms of, Odin's in the background. Yeah, let me bring up the screen again. My dog is going to be in the LARP, because, and I'm going to encourage people to do this. So if you have pets or whatever, like they can be in the LARP too, because they're part of our lives. They chill in the background. There he is, just sitting down on my pillows, like just hanging out. What's up, Odin? Yeah. So, right. I was gonna ask you before Odin distracted me.
Sorry.
That's okay. Are there any types of characters, or any characters you can think of, or people in real life you can think of that might inspire that type of character? Like either the political character or
a doctor.
Mm-hmm.
I have to go with McCoy.
All right, cool.
Star Trek. He's like the iconic space crew doctor that I can think of, and he definitely had very strong political beliefs. And he didn't let that affect his work ethic, but he was definitely not somebody that would be quiet if he felt it was morally wrong in some way.
Awesome.
So that's the one I think of. But I probably won't be the one that's sitting there just going, "Damn it, Jim, I'm a blank." No, I'm not going to do any of those kind of things.
Right. Yeah, and what's really cool about this process, kind of as we're going through it, is, I'm thinking about just the different types of players we have and knowing your strengths, and I'm like, this game is going to be totally different than the next run. Absolutely. There's just no way. Like, I know if I give you a chunk of like political information, you're just going to take it in one direction and I'm going to love it, and that'll be a big part of the LARP. So it's really cool because I can already see how the different runs are coming up. And for those watching, the LARP does still have a few spots left, I think, for the first run. This here that we're working on is the alpha run. We're going to test it and work out all the bugs. And all of my participants in this particular run are very awesome and willing volunteers. So this is Chariot Alpha. But the next one is going to be Chariot Beta, and that's going to be the first full run. The tickets are $50. It's like over 10 hours of gameplay, and you can check out the site and find more about it. So yeah, check it out, and we do have slots open, I think, for beta, and as soon as that fills up, we're gonna open Delta. And so the first 2 runs are East Coast. I lived on the East Coast of the United States. So all of I think so far everybody in our run is either East Coast, US or Canada. And we have, Jody was over in Arizona, I think she said. So my 8 o'clock is her 5 o'clock. But the next run I want to do, I'm thinking about doing a West Coast run. And then after that, something international so that my friends in Europe can play, which I don't care. I'll be up at whatever time, whatever works for them. So that's just some more info about the LARP and what we're doing there. So my last question for you, Kathleen, has to do with character identity, and of course, I asked Jody the pronoun question. So, how would you like to be referred to, and what pronouns for your character are you open?
Well, I identify as female.
Okay.
But for my character, if it works for the character to be male,
Mm-hmm.
since I'm a voice actor, I could do a convincing boyish kind of voice. If that works better for plot, if
Mm-hmm.
I can keep my preferred gender, that's okay too. I'm really open to playing a character of whatever best serves the plot and is fun.
Cool. Awesome. And I super look forward to having your talent in this game. It's going to be amazing. So,
Thanks.
yeah. And any feedback or other questions or any other things you wanted to add in terms of character preference or questions about the game?
Sure. One idea I had as you were going over and explaining this with Jody and myself is it would be really neat if for each run of the LARP, as you will, whether it's alpha, beta, delta, or when you full on become just a consistent game, it would be nice to have an in-game history that you build over time. So maybe the alpha is a first mission. So the crew is always going to be different. So it would make sense that as they explore and get further out, you keep a record within the game of each mission, maybe important characters that made a game-changing moment during that course of that mission, something that changed how the game itself views these missions. You know, just keeping a record of that, I've always found in LARPs is really interesting, having player history, not just world history, but like seeing how players have changed the game over time. And the things that they've done that kind of surprise people. So I always think that's neat. I think it would be really great for this concept of the LARP.
Yeah, one possible position I have on the ship is for a chronicler. And the chronicler's job as one of the artist, musician type people would be to keep track of what's going on. And one thing I was actually thinking for Jodie's character is to make one of her goals not only expressing how she feels, but to also document the journey through her art. And then what we can do is actually keep that in like the chronicle of Chariot Alpha. And I'm even open to it if our chronicler character is an artist. Like, I'm fine with that not even having like words with it. You know, if people want to write stuff and whatever, I'll publish whatever they want. But like, how cool would that be if one run is all done in pictures and another run is like video logs of everything, you know, and people choose to do it differently. I want it documented the way that the players see it, and the way that the viewers see it is going to be documented on everything we're streaming.
I've actually seen this happen in LARPs before. In the main game that I play, they have a scribe position. They have an in-game newspaper that they put out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But they also put in their own comments and their own viewpoints of what's going on. We had one person at one point that their character drew nothing except like pictograms.
That's awesome.
What was going on. So instead of actually writing what was going on, they just drew little pictures. And then the person that was the scribe the following time after them looked back at it and they had no idea what it said. So it was great because it looked like
that's awesome.
They thought he was writing diligently, but really he was just writing little pictures. So you had no idea what was going on. It was all stick figures. So it would be really interesting for a chronicler. Maybe if that is a position, it doesn't always have to be a PC. Maybe just an NPC as well.
Mm-hmm.
If the PC didn't take that position up, and just kind of keep that as a documentation. I think that would be kind of cool because then it's a log over time that people can look at of the LARP.
Yeah.
Even if it's just information of what happened. So I think it's a cool idea. I think every LARP should have something like that, and that's why I wanted to bring it to you.
That's a great suggestion. And for the alpha, we do have CHARIOT page is actually documenting the game just out of game. So they're gonna watch the stream and write about it, because as far as I know, this hasn't quite been done before. I'm pretty sure people have role played online, right? People get really into their tabletop gaming, and that's a thing that is done widely. Geek and Sundry is broadcasting, and like they're probably broadcasting that now, right? But oh yeah, Critical Role is great, and they get super into it. But I don't know that it's ever been done as a paid live action role playing game online yet. So I know that some games have done components of it, but but I don't think anyone's done a full thing there. Yeah, Patrick is telling me to explore the unknown, stream the LARP now. Well, we are streaming the character development process, so this is step 1. In a couple weeks, we will actually start playing, and I should publish our alpha schedule, I guess. I didn't do that. I published the beta schedule because that's what people are paying to do. But the alpha schedule and the development process is really kept in tight on a Facebook group, because there's a lot of, like, I love being transparent about my entire LARP development process, but there's a lot of holes in it. Like, I don't necessarily, like, I have a lot planned out, I have a lot written out, I have a workbook developed, but some of my mistakes are going to be really silly. I don't know, like, I'm going to put as much out there as I can. You'll probably see me stream this week developing the workbook a little bit more, but yeah, like, there's a lot of components to this game, and so the idea is to run multiple versions. Somebody suggested each version is its own ship, trying to get to the same place. So if Kathleen plays in the alpha test here, and one of you in the chat room plays in the beta, and then we all meet up at a convention and we do the actual, we're on the ship thing in person, then it makes sense. Like, you're talking about, you're only meeting a certain segment of the 200 and some people on your ship, or there are multiple ships, stuff like that. So we can work with that down the road, because it's been suggested that it starts online, and it can be just an online thing. It can be a standalone thing, but that some people will want to continue it at a convention. So it can continue at a convention, or people can come to the convention and play it without having played the online version. And of course, the idea for that would be like, hey, please play this game, sign up for the next version. The other thing I'm looking to do with this is I'm creating a system here to run these games online. This is my full-time job now as of today. That happened. And it's working. Somehow it's working. People are buying things, the tickets, and it's working, and it's great. So this system, if it works and people like it, I continually work on it. I continue to develop it, but we don't have to limit it to just Chariot LARP. We could use the system for other things. I could franchise the system for other people who want to run stuff and handle the logistics of it. There's a whole bunch of possibilities out there for this type of live action role playing online. The question has been asked, is this a LARP? Because we're not in person. So there's a lot of discussion about this. Yeah, because it's not in person. And the problem I initially had with it was, my original idea was to play it like you and I are on a spaceship. Okay, so why don't I just go next door and talk to you? Like, what's the deal with, like, yeah.
But when you look at the size of an actual spaceship, so if you're actually journeying into space, let's take some real science into here.
Mm-hmm.
Your spaceship is going to be massive. It's going to be the size of a city. Now, we won't get into the logistics on, like, how large can we actually currently travel. That's not the point here. We're in the future. But realistically, these ships would be the size of a major city. When you look at your regular city, you don't decide when you're going to go and chat with your friend on the phone, oh, wait, you know what? I could just go to them. They're only down the street.
That's true.
The convenience is I'm going to text them.
That's true.
I'm going to call them. Maybe I'll Skype them. So you have to think about travel time, and if it's more convenient to sit there and do over the screen than it is to be in person,
that's
on a
true.
ship of that size, especially if they're on tight deadlines and they're run very militaristically, they're not going to take those 20 minutes to go walk halfway down the ship to go and find you at your station.
Yeah. It is interesting, and in Star Trek you get those moments. Yeah, in Star Trek you get those moments, like, I love Star Trek The Next Generation, and Picard's always like, Commander Riker, report to the bridge. And it's like, I mean,
Or realistically, they're walking for 30 minutes to report to the bridge.
right.
Like, think of how long that is.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And it's like, you couldn't have had this convo with me on the computer thing. Like,
Could have been an email.
right.
One of those meetings
That could have been an email. We've been in those.
Yes, we have. So another point too is like the question of, is this LARPing? Well, you look at a lot of LARPs now that start pulling in technology into their actual game settings now.
Yeah.
People are using their tablets to help portray sci-fi worlds or even in fantasy worlds as like a magical mirror. You have people like in Vampire the Masquerade, where if that particular NPC cannot make the physical parlor game, they could Skype in or any video chat in to the location and be that mysterious Nosferatu network that answers all your questions. They're still LARPing, they're still participating in the game, even though they're not physically there. So I think a lot of people need to broaden their definition of what live action means.
Mm-hmm.
Is live action having to be in person? Because I could still role play with that person over a video call. We're still getting the emotion,
absolutely,
the interaction. But I don't have to physically be there. Now, it'll be a different thing if, like, say, for example, the person is having an emotional breakdown. That's going to be a little harder to deal with when you're only video chatting. But people do that all the time in the real world anyway. If you live halfway across the world, you can't go comfort your friend that's in Australia that's crying over you.
Exactly. That's another theme I want to look at in this game is, you know, it used to be that people saw online relationships as fake. And with the availability of technology now, are they really? I think they're pretty real. Like, you know, I think it's pretty in depth. I mean, I've got several people in this chat here, including Nick, who's modding the whole chat, that I've met online. Right? They're like my online buddies. They're not gonna let me down. Trolls come in, they're gonna kick them out. And by the way, Marshall, if you're listening, you're on deck. If you need the Google Hangout link, let me know and I'll send it to you on Facebook. But I did post it in the alpha room. So go ahead and dial in whenever we're ready for you. But yeah, like, you know, exploring that depth of kind of online relationships and how, and I mean, hey, like, we used to see each other every day when we worked together, right?
Yeah,
now we're video chatting, but it's kind of just like we used to talk at work all the time about nerdy stuff. You know, it's like pretty similar. So I'm really excited about exploring that as well and seeing how that kind of folds into the mix.
Well, and you also have to think about the environment of this life
Mm-hmm.
of the crew that's going to be on this ship.
Yeah.
For them, it's perfectly normal. It's normalized for them to sit there and video chat with each other instead of physically going to the person. As I said, it's a city-wide thing, and the size of that ship itself, yeah, they might have elevators or, you know, giant escalators, whatever have you on their ship. And that's not the point, though. They're going to find it more comfortable that if they have 10 minutes to talk, to video chat. So for them, it's perfectly natural in that kind of environment. And I think that's something that players need to keep in mind when they're doing a high-tech LARP like this, where for the environment, for the characters, this is natural. So they're not going to think of it as weird that they're having these conversations or engaging in this way. So I think it's just another way for people to kind of explore role-playing, you know, and using the technology we have now to explore that storyline that they're going through. So
awesome.
I think it's going to work out fine.
Awesome. So I am going to quick send a link to Marshall on Facebook. Copied the link.
Sounds good.
Now I'm going to paste the link and he can come on. Kathleen, you're welcome to head out, or if you want to hang out, that's good too. It would be cool if you could meet Marshall and say hi, because he's a really fantastic LARPer and has a lot of really brilliant insights on game design. And I just kind of want to make the introduction just because it's like the meeting of the minds, right? So I'm trying to get back on Facebook. Everything's slow. I'm on an old computer. Do forgive me. I'm doing pretty well with the old computer, but, you know, it could be faster. It could be faster. Okay.
Technology can always be improved upon.
Yeah, especially when you're dealing with an old computer. But that's okay. It'll load eventually. And then we'll get Marshall in here. Okay. I'm a flatterer. I am a flatterer. You know I'm a flatterer. It's true. No, you're fantastic. I met Marshall role-playing at New World Mantiscola.
Which I still have yet to go to, and I want to at one point.
Oh, you should. Yule is sold out, but for next year they'll be doing runs again, I'm sure, and would love to see you there.
I will probably have more money to be able to go next year.
Yay!
So I would be happy to go to, as long as it's not during the game that I have to show up as management.
Yeah.
I can't take away from that game.
Yeah, I get that. I get that.
The last few times that they have run New World, I was actually at the other LARP. That's why I couldn't do Dragon Thrones either. I wanted to explore.
Oh no!
Cool,
Dragon Thrones is amazing.
That event, so I couldn't. Hey guys, so here's my story. You guys have fun. I'm gonna go to another LARP now. It doesn't work that way.
That is awesome. Facebook has loaded for me, so I am very slowly waiting for private messages to load. My tech is working, I swear. It's just slow because I've got a lot of stuff open. I am going to close Discord. Okay. My people who I talked to on Discord are in here. Awesome. Yeah, Dragon Thrones is great. I highly recommend it. Facebook. Oh my gosh, let me write stuff. It's being so slow. Okay. Technology. I would just message it to you from my phone, but I don't have the link on my phone, so I gotta do that. Wait, I have a better idea. Oh my gosh, I've thought about this before. Marshall, I am going to send you a message here on Twitch because Facebook is not loading very well. It's going to be a private message. Let me close Facebook first. There we go. This is going to work a lot faster. I can already tell because the thing came up. Okay. There we go. Marshall, I sent the message to you just now in a whisper here on Twitch, so you can click on that link and it'll be good to go. There we go. Whew, okay, technology, right? One of the things I want to do for the for the beta run, for the first paid run, is to have an assistant, and I'm kind of looking at that and like what I can pay. I have someone in mind who approached me about doing that, and I'm like, yeah. So, oh, hi Adam. Yeah, that is Kathleen. Kathleen is one of my LARPing buddies who is going to do the alpha test with me, and soon you're going to see Marshall on screen. Marshall is also not me, and he is also going to be in the beta test. Right now what we're doing is we are creating characters for Chariot LARP Alpha, which is super exciting. And it looks like Kathleen is probably going to be like a doctor, scientist type person with a political agenda. If you know Tiliano, which I know you do, I kind of feel like maybe, you know, that'll happen. Hey, Marshall! What's up? Marshall, meet Kathleen. Kathleen, meet Marshall. You guys will be playing together in the alpha test here.
Hello, Kathleen. How you doing?
Pretty good.
Awesome. Well, I just wanted to introduce the two of you in person. You're both in the alpha test group over on Facebook. But you are probably two of the more experienced role players in this game. And so I just kind of encourage you to keep that in mind as the role play heats up, because I'm going to be relying a little bit on the more experienced PCs to do what you do best and just take a great story and roll with it. You're not going to step on my toes with this format at all. So, yay. Awesome. All right. So, Kathleen, if you want to go, you can. If you want to hang out, that's cool, too. I don't want to pressure you into staying, but we're going to start with Marshall's character creation process now.
I will have to step out a little bit tonight. Sorry, guys. I'm not feeling so well, but I'd be eager to see how things go from here.
Awesome. We will see you later.
All right.
I'm excited to play with you.
Bye.
Excited to play with you, too. Bye.
All right. Marshall, welcome. How excited are you? I'm excited. The beta launched.
Because that moment
Mm-hmm.
when I realized that the people that I saw on Twitch
Uh-huh.
were people I was going to play with.
Yay!
I was like, oh,
Right?
oh my god.
Super exciting. Super
I
exciting.
need people.
Yes. So in chat right now we have a couple people that we're going to be playing with. We also have a bunch of my friends from the USS Red Guard, which is the Star Trek role-playing group I'm a part of. And so when you see them talk about
Bringing in fucking ringers.
everyone, I'm bringing in everyone. It's great. That whole crew has been instrumental in helping me get my stream affiliated so that people can actually bring me an extra source of income as I run this, because they can throw bits at me. They have Amazon Prime in the US. You can actually subscribe to me at no extra cost to you, and I get monies, which helps me do more of this. And I just launched the beta today, which is the first paid run of this game, and it's almost sold out. I'm so excited.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
That's excellent.
Yeah, I was nervous because I posted it. Nothing happened for 8 hours. I got a lot of questions. I did a Facebook Live AMA, and I woke up this morning and I was like, okay, nothing's sold. That's fine. And then suddenly one of them sold, and then it just went up from there. So I'm super excited about running this first version and ironing out all the kinks and just getting this rolling. So the different types of characters. Yeah, go ahead.
I realized like a few years ago that with all the technology that we have, if you aren't, like, anyone can make a website. Anyone can start a Twitch stream. Anyone can use Facebook Live to do an AMA for the project that they're currently working on as an advertisement tool. And if you're not leveraging those, what the hell are you doing? And unfortunately, I actually have not been leveraging those very much. I need to make my website like fucking now. But so hyped that like this project is not only a experimentation into LARP design, but also just like LARP advertisement and how to leverage all this new media.
Yeah, and Matthew Webb just launched a LARP project in Texas, and he's been doing Facebook Live because it's based off of existing IP. It's based off of a video game, so he's been doing Facebook Live of himself playing the game, and then like using that to advertise the LARP. Yes, and he's been using that to advertise the LARP. Yeah, it's gonna be great. And I found as a LARPer that all of my engagements on Facebook, so it's very hard to pull people over here. But when I do, it works really well. So I'm doing everything through Twitch because it's the easiest platform. But Adam, who's in the chat, actually, I'm going to talk to him about multi-stream tools because people also want to watch it on Facebook. So it's a lot to set up. It requires moderation. So I need one moderator in here, one moderator on Facebook, because people will come on to those streams and they'll be like, blah, 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 LARPers suck, or you're fat, or whatever. And I need people to just, like, shut that down. Nick is in here right now. He has a ban hammer. He loves banning people who are trolls. We haven't had any today, so far so good. So yeah, let's get started on some questions. Were you here? I don't know if you were here earlier when I ran through all the available professions, and if not, that's okay.
I think I heard it once, but let's go through it again.
Okay.
Now I'm completely...
Great. So the idea is, it's the end of the century. Somebody just did something or followed me or something. Oh my gosh, somebody gave me bits. What? My first bits ever. Oh my gosh. Bits are magical things that turn into real monies for me, and I can use those now, and I just got a lot of them. Thank you so much, Roman. I really appreciate that.
You're embarrassing, Roman. Not to interrupt, and now we're just like, Roman, are you done?
No, that was my first bit donation ever. Thank you so much. I am just, I'm thrilled. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you for the bits. Right, so the setting. The setting is, it's on Earth. It's in the future at the end of the century. There's a lot of war going on. You'll learn about some of that during the game. And what happens is that we have been invited to go to Proxima B to populate a new planet. And you received a letter from my character, the captain, and she has informed you that you are, thank you, Roman, I appreciate it, that you're one of the elite people selected to go on the ship. And the premise of the LARP is that we're not in person. we're in the LARP, our characters are also behind computer screens. So we're meeting each other with the knowledge that we're going to be on a ship together for the rest of our lives, and that our grandchildren and their children will be the generation to reach Proxima B. So we are going to die on the ship. We're never going to see our families or our friends or our pets ever again. So we have a really great opportunity to save humanity, but we also have to leave everything behind. So we're going to tackle some grief in this LARP, and one of the questions I want to ask you is, how close do you want to play to the grief? Do you want to play a character who's diving into grief? Do you want to play like a counselor character who's really adamant about helping other people with their grief? Or do you feel kind of like mediocre about it?
I think I just have to say, like, I should dive in and be as much
right.
a conduit for the grief as possible. Let's
awesome.
try to pull that out. Though I'm also the type of person who would immediately get on that ship. No problem. Let's go to space. So we'll see how much to balance it. Maybe this will actually change my views there.
Yeah, and that's a cool thing, and I'd love to write that into your character, that you're balancing enthusiasm with grief. And I think that's actually very close to where my character will be starting. My plan is to have the captain starting with boxes and bins in the background. So every time I stream this, I'm going to have, she's already packed. She's ready to go, right? She's ready to leave. She's done with Earth. She's done with people being jerks to her. She's very focused on her job, and she's ready to leave. She's like, I'm going. Like, if I had the chance in real life to move to Ireland, like, tomorrow, I'd be there. I'd be packed. I'd be ready to go. So I want to explore that through my character. So, great. That's an awesome start, and I would love to have characters kind of, like, exploring that balance and struggling with that. I love characters who have duality. The people who are in chat who play with me on the Star Trek game, they see me play a character called Tiliana, who's half human, half Vulcan, and she struggles with that all the time. So I'm so on board with being able to get you a character that does that kind of thing. So that's fantastic. We are going to move on to the different types of roles you could have. So similar to other games where you would have like a house or a specific duty, in this game you can be, if Word would open, come on Word, alpha test lesson. Next time I'm sending this to everyone beforehand so they can review it and just tell me online. So there are different roles you can fulfill on the ship. And Word's frozen, but I totally remember them. You can be part of the crew, so you can be one of the people that is helping to actually run the ship. You can be the operations of the ship, where you're responsible for the really boring stuff like janitorial work and food prep and things like that that are essential. And actually, IT and ship operations, like computer operations, fall under that. It's called CSAPs, which is the ship operations. So, yeah, so that's another one. You can be medical. And that also includes things like childcare, veterinary services for the animals that are on board. Then you can be a scientist. It's going to be a very science-heavy thing. And you can be any type of scientist that you could pretty much be in real life. The only thing is, all of these different paths have these different, like, jobs, I guess, have autonomy. And there's not necessarily an intricate checks and balances system set up, but for example, the medical people, I've decided that this is in the future, that people who are leaving Earth and who have experienced problems on this planet and know about our history have decided that, like, living is cool. And so maybe, like, everyone on the ship having healthcare is kind of a given. And so to preserve that autonomy and the ideal of universal healthcare, hi there, Lazy. Thank you so much for hosting. I appreciate that. Oh, hi, General. Thank you. Thank you. Hi, Judy. Welcome to the stream. Tina, thank you for sending people over. My roommate Tina is sending people over. They're asking her questions about the LARP. So that's another job possibility for your character. Basically anything in real life. Thank you so much for the bits. I appreciate it. Oh my gosh. I'm actually getting bits. Adam, thank you. Awesome. Yay! I appreciate this. So yeah, that's it. I mean, basically, different types of jobs in real life you can do on the ship. I also remembered. Oh, thank you for the follow as well. I also just remembered education is a very important component of this. So all the types of educational jobs that you would have in real life will be on the ship. One thing to keep in mind. Thank you again for the other follow. Getting a lot of followers and stuff all of a sudden. One thing that you can keep in mind is that you will never make it to Proxima B. You're going to die on the ship. Your grandchildren and their children will make it there. So your grandchildren are going to be old when they get there, and their kids will be young enough to like restart civilization there. So that's kind of where we are. And that knowledge needs to be preserved. There are also like a creative core, so you could be like a full-time artist. That could be your job. It looks like so far we have Kathleen is going to be like a doctor or a scientist with some political motivations, and Jody, who is newer to LARPing, is going to be more of an artist, and she's probably going to chronicle some of our journey. So that is, yeah, that's kind of what's happening there. So knowing that, and knowing that this culture hopefully values science and art and education and health and all those things that we need to live and have productive lives, where do you see yourself? What kind of character do you see yourself playing?
All right, I have 3 ideas.
All right.
That just come to my mind while you're describing that. The first one would be when you were originally describing the fact that this is a generational ship, wherein the first generation is going to die. There's going to be a middle generation, then there's going to be the generation that arrives. Well, my gut immediately says, like, fuck you, we built a spaceship. What, like, we could do anything. Like, so it's very tempting to be another medical doctor, researcher who's like very much personifying the denial stage of grief.
I like that.
I'm curious if the 5 stages of grief might be almost character classes in a game like
Wow,
this.
that's cool. That's really cool.
Then another idea would be there's something that exists for Mars missions right now, where we've been putting people into isolation, where they're at least mimicking the fact that on a Mars mission you have to be alone with a small group of people for so long. And what jumped to my mind is playing someone who is doing one of those experiments. So they've already said goodbye from the world, and maybe they said that they would come back. And now they're jumping straight from that to the ship and getting out.
Wow.
So it's not so much grieving over, like, I'm leaving you, you know, when I get on the ship. It's, I left you a long time ago, and I said I'd come back, and I actually can't.
Wow, that's really cool too. I love it.
And then finally, you mentioned having cooks, and I feel like that's also an art. It's an art that I don't have, but I feel like I could maybe research to just describe the fact that, yes, I am going to be your chef, and we're not going to have protein paste. I'm going to try to keep culinary culture alive here.
That's neat. I like that because it does cause us to think about what kind of aspects of culture that we would like to preserve. And one thing I'm looking forward to doing both the test run here and multiple runs is to see what aspects of culture they value the most and what cultures they value the most, because this run, alpha run and beta run, those are both going to be in Eastern time zone, so we're going to get a lot of people from the US, a couple people from Canada are interested. Thank you so much for the bits, Adam. I appreciate that. Yay, I love bits, they make me smile. Okay. So yay, bits. So yeah, like you know, so I feel like the different runs are going to value different things based on player preferences and also where they're from. The second full run is probably going to be from the West Coast. I'm going to do a West Coast time zone. And then I'm going to try to do another one for European LARPers. And I would absolutely love to include people from beyond just US, Canada, Europe. So if there's enough interest, I want to do that. Like, as long as people can speak English, because I unfortunately only know English, I will totally run a game in that time zone. So
that's a benefit of Europe and America. It's north of a lot of things that are south of it.
yes.
So maybe gets other people in the same time zone. One thing that, if you're going to think of this as a way to compare cultures, is what's your sample size?
Yeah.
People are playing each game.
Exactly. So the ship in question, and there could be multiple ships, but the ship in question, Chariot, has 233 people on it. The maximum complement for a LARP is 10, including myself, the GM, because Google Hangouts only lets you have 10. And also, more than 10, I think, is way too much to do for a digital LARP. I think 6 to 10 is probably ideal. So, and there are going to be some, I don't want to give anything away, but there are going to be some parts of this where I, as the captain, will not have as large a role. And I'm absolutely 100% going to shut up and turn it over to PCs who want to lead, because that's always how it works better. I'm just going to give it a push and provide structure. And it's, in a way, kind of scary because I planned out the different sessions, knowing, first of all, that it's an alpha. So, like, we might need to spend more time on some things and less time on others. But primarily, like, I mean, if it goes in a different direction, I don't want to keep to one particular thing, you know, like if the players want to go somewhere, I want to change the schedule rather than be really stringent about it. So, you know, it's done more towards the Nordic style, more towards the theatrical style, and I want to keep it that way. Give players agency, even though we're all online. Like, you can still have agency online. So, yeah, so the sample size, it is going to be, you know, certain amount of people on a 233 person ship. And the way I was thinking about handling that, like for the alpha run, because I think almost everyone from alpha run is American, is like, hey, why don't you meet other people from your country that are going to be on the ship? So it's with the greater understanding that you're going to eventually be interacting with and forming relationships with people not from here. Unless somebody wants to play a character from another country, that's awesome too. So that's kind of how I was looking to handle it. So in terms of your character, I think we have almost everything we need to know. The only other thing is I wanted to double check on, yeah, I've got a lot to go with. I wanted to check on pronouns out of game and in game, and what your preferences are.
Out of game, he, him, and I think in game I'd be most comfortable sticking with that, he, him, his.
Sounds good. Great. So that's it. If you have any other questions, first I want to give you a few minutes to assert any other preferences that you may have about your character or ideas or themes you want to explore. And the other thing I was asking people that kind of came up just developing this process here, we're learning as we go, is any kind of character who you feel kind of drawn towards that also fits into any of your ideas. So like any existing character from a TV show or, you know, a character that you've played previously or something like that.
Well, I think a bit of success that I've had is playing characters that have a strong emotional reaction to everything. It's just the way to have the most fun during play for me and create the most narrative value in any given moment.
Awesome. That I will definitely keep in mind in character creation. Fantastic. Anything else you want to add or include in suggestions for the character or questions that you have about the game and the gameplay? Because I know I haven't put a lot of info out there yet into the alpha group. I'm still writing a lot of it. I have a huge document that is like currently frozen on my screen right now. But any other questions you have or stuff you want to know at this point in time?
Well, something that jumped to my mind is how are you paying any attention to romantic play within this?
Yeah, that is something that I'm definitely open to writing in. I'm not going to write it into pre-existing characters. So if you want to do some pre-play, I think that's what I'm going to encourage, especially with a small group. If you want to pre-plot and are comfortable with romance or looking for that kind of play, that's something you could do. Additionally, I am going to give you some suggestions to work with in terms of off-screen characters. You might have people you're romantically involved with that you've left behind or something like that, and that could make for a really interesting setup for your interactions with these other people. Knowing like, okay, I'm going to leave this person behind, but now these are the people in my life. That could be really interesting for kind of like how you relate to them and how you think about them. And so I think what I'll do, and I think it's obvious I haven't given like a full thought to it. I'm not going to write it into the characters and force people to have romantic plots if they don't want them, but I'm going to leave it open and give all of you time to actually come up with that and pre-plan as much as you want. And those of us who are experienced role players can kind of like encourage the new people to do what they feel comfortable with or not, and develop those relationships prior to game.
I like that. One final thought would be the idea of someone who's doing who was like doing an experiment
Mm-hmm.
and was in isolation for this. Could also just be someone who's already like been to space. Is
Right.
already doing like that type of work.
I like it.
Doesn't necessarily have to be grounded. Something else that I wanted to work in is I love how this game has set dressing
Mm-hmm.
as a way of expressing your own character. I think it's if this isn't a LARP, it's something new altogether, and it's really rad.
We'll see, right? We'll see what people call it. I don't know. I'm calling it a LARP for now.
I'm not sure if I 100% agree, which makes it fascinating and all
Yeah.
the better. What I was thinking of there is I have a couple current backdrops that I have that could work into a character very
Awesome.
easily. There is plain white background, which is literally what I was thinking of when I thought of the idea of, oh, this person could be just like already in isolation. And this could
Awesome.
be like all he has. Additionally, he could be the proud Marylander that his player is.
Nice.
And then finally, I have travel posters designed by SpaceX for going to Mars.
Oh, that is cool.
This might be a thing that's already real.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. That's
So
neat.
That's another backdrop.
Yeah.
If my character could make use of one of these three instead of having me build something, which
Yeah, and the expectation for this LARP is that it's very accessible. So the idea is for us to use things we already have. So the way you're thinking is 100% on point. My character is going to be ready to go. She's done. She's like, screw Earth. I'm 2,000% done. I have boxes in the background, and I am simply going to take bins. I'm probably going to steal them from Tina, for those of you who know my roommate, and I'm just going to throw the bins on my bed behind me, and my dog will be roaming around, and he will be a character, and that's the accessibility that I'm hoping to provide. So those are great those are actually exactly what I had in mind for set dressing ideas. So
awesome.
yeah, you've given me a lot of ideas. I think it would be really neat to have a character who's like, yo, I've been to Mars already. I built that, like that would be kind of fun. It could create some tension between our characters. You and I have played characters who got along really well in the past. I would love to play every time. I say this every time whenever my character's close to another character in any way. I'd love to play your antagonist in a future game. That would be cool, right? Because my character's going to be the captain, so it'd be really interesting. And I'd feel comfortable playing that with you, to have you kind of like check me on certain things, because I want the players to have some agency, and to say, well, when we did this at Mars, that's not how it happened, like, you don't have to jump in and interrupt every single thing, but it might be really neat for that to be a way that I could hand over more of the agency to you and the other players, or for you to be the person that says, well, your company or, whatever organization is running the ship might want it that way, but what about what we feel? It would be so cool to have that character. And Kathleen's character is going to have some kind of political agenda. So we'll have that to contend with as well. And so even, thank you for the follow. So even for just the new, just the 3 characters we have plus mine, I've already got amazing ideas, and I can see how every run is going to be so different, and I am just so excited.
That's awesome.
Cool.
One final thought.
Go for it.
Keep on saying awesome. I need to stop doing that. I'm very aware.
It's contagious because I say it too much.
Oh yes, it's totally your fault. Not just, anyway. A thought that I had within this idea of a character that has already retreated from Earth is, I think there's some guilt that if there's a lot of war on Earth, we aren't doing anything to help.
Mm-hmm.
We're just leaving.
Yep.
And I think that would be an interesting thing to include in a character.
Yep. I'm writing that down. And that falls a lot in line with my character, where she's like, I'm over it. She's like broken up with Earth. And, like, Proxima B is the relationship she'll never get, because it won't happen until her great-grandchild lands there, right? She's that's what she's doing. We aren't helping. And she needs to
settle for Chariot.
Yeah, she needs to cope with the fact that Chariot is her... Oh, my God. This is where the bleed happens already. I'm not even playing this character. She needs to cope with the fact that Chariot, her job... That is her life. That is the love of her life. It's not a person. It's not even like a place that is unmoving. It's this transitory vehicle that is also her job. That's so cool. Like, wow.
Just find someone to bang on that.
In typical Minerva fashion, my NWM5 character, that will...
Characters can hate them.
It can happen. It can happen. Bam! Bam! It's really funny because some of the people watching this are from the Star Trek sim that I play. And Nick's character and my character, Tiliana, they started fighting. And by the end of like their initial argument, everyone was like, fight, fight, fight. Kiss, kiss, kiss. So these characters are like freaking soulmates. But like their initial interaction was like she was so defensive about like, oh, you're okay with like civilian casualties. I know how you military people are. And they fought and they fought and they fought. And now now everyone's like, they have to stay together forever. And I'm like, I'm so sorry. Sometimes I LARP these relationships or roleplay these relationships and people are like, together forever. And I'm like, okay, well, we're writing a novel now. That's the thing.
I love the notion of shippers. Sometimes it can be a lot.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
There's so much value in creating a story that resonates so much.
And it's weird.
Designing a tabletop role-playing game that tries to make that happen in like just a handful of hours. And did my first alpha test, and it was a fun game, but it didn't get there.
Yeah.
And we'll see how it goes. But
it's really interesting how shipping works, and this game has like kind of a voyeuristic feel because anybody can watch it for free, right? So they're gonna watch all of these relationships develop, but it also has like it gives it this like big brother value. Like, are people gonna be taking bets on like which characters are gonna become best friends, which characters are gonna hook up? Tune in the next time on Chariot LARP, like, and part of that might be up to Catriel, who's covering the game. And part of that might be up to if we have an in-game chronicler, how they do it. Because somebody writing a gossip column, right, is going to be totally different than someone making a serious news report to submit to the New York Times before we leave Earth. And I love the fact that it's so open, and that some runs are going to have that, some runs aren't, and that's fantastic. Oh no, ship these two. It already begins, right? So
there's such like I mean, that factors into the idea of, is it LARP? Can you LARP if there's an audience? Because then it's, maybe necessarily performative,
right,
maybe not. Because
right.
we could still be doing it for us, and then there also, we'll see about that. But also,
Right.
I wonder how much in character we'll be thinking about how we're speaking digitally.
Yeah.
Who's watching us?
Yeah.
Is this a safe line? And then the final thought is, oh, out of character goal is to end a scene with just very quietly being like, you should come to my bunk. 3 hours.
That's fantastic.
Let's
Right.
end it there.
That's fantastic. That's really funny.
There's so much left to imply.
There is, yeah, and it's just so neat, like the commentary, and I haven't decided if I, even as the game master, am going to have, because right now I have your picture over on my second monitor. Basically, what happens for those watching who don't know, Google Hangouts is projected on my second monitor, and that's what I'm broadcasting in the middle of the screen here. And so my second monitor is just a picture of Marshall here talking to me, and then my computer has Twitch open, and I have all of my streaming tools, but all I'm looking at is a picture of the Twitch stream, so I can see all your commentary on the side. Now, there's a way I can set it up where I can have the running commentary on the side of the Hangout, which I'm not going to do, because I think some people who play this game aren't even going to care that it's streamed. They're not in it because it's streamed. They're in it because of the LARP and the interaction, and I don't want that to affect the game until we get towards the end and we're getting ready to leave and we do an in-character AMA, and then we will have these questions, and then the shippers will come out. Then the shipper's gonna ship. And we're gonna get all sorts of questions like that from the moderated chat channel. So it's not part of the game design until the end that the stream interacts with the LARP. It's really all about how all of our characters interact, and then at the very end, it's going to be about that. So I think it's going to be pretty cool. I actually, more than any other thing I've streamed, and maybe part of it's I'm getting more comfortable with streaming, but more than any other thing I've streamed, I felt more comfortable with this than any other stream, because it's like me talking to my LARP participants and friends, and I've forgotten a little bit about the stream. Some of it's like I know who's in chat, and I know that my moderators are in there, and they're going to do a great job of making sure that nobody says anything horrible. Like, I'm always worried about those nightmares, especially running a professional endeavor. But it's interesting that even though I'm not even playing yet, I'm sitting here working on a creative project with you, I've already kind of become immersed in the game development, if not the game. So that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. And you've given me a lot to think about and to add in there. I think the rulebook does need a section on romance to let people know, if you want to go for that, go for that. I didn't think about it as much because, it's over the computer, right? So, I wasn't thinking about that as much. But, the text-based role-playing game...
It's still kind of, intimate.
Yeah, it is. And, the text-based role-playing game I do, we all talk on voice together out of game, all the time. But, that's, I never had a question in my mind that I was going to go for a romance in that game. I was like, yes, that happens, it happens. I love writing that stuff. And, of course, first day I'm in the game, bam, as usual, that's what happens. So, it's kind of weird that I haven't even really thought about that in an immersive LARP just because it's online. It's really interesting. And this whole online relationships thing is part of what I'm looking at exploring in this game. So, wow, there's a lot here. I'm really curious about what people are going to write about this game. I had no idea. It's going to be a lot to unpack.
Well, super excited for it. Yeah.
Awesome.
Good talking to you.
You
Let's
too.
get some stuff done over here.
You too. I'm going to let you go. I have everything I need from you, and if you have any more questions in the next few days before I get your character, let me know. I'm going to drop a whole ton of information to everyone in the alpha test, and you'll have a lot more to look over. But I really wanted to kind of get these characters started for you, so I'm like over here like, haha, I have so many ideas with the information you gave me. So I will send something over to you in the next few days.
Okay, no, I'm in. All right, I'm done.
Okay.
I keep on talking for
I know. We get to talk about game design, and then suddenly, like, it's 3 hours later. Awesome. Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you for calling in, and I will be in touch over on the Facebook group. Bye.
Bye.
All right. So now you have just me here concluding this whole thing. So what we were doing, for anybody that's just dropped in, we were creating characters for Chariot LARP Alpha, which is the alpha test of Chariot LARP, a digital live-action role-playing game. So we are going to be doing a LARP only online, and we currently have... Hang on, let me find... Nick, do you still have the link? I don't have the link up. I want to provide the link here so that anybody else interested in signing up can. If it's sold out, which it could be by now, it was pretty close when I started the stream. If it's sold out, I am going to be putting up more runs of this. This is my full-time job now. I also greatly appreciate the subscriptions, the Patreon subscriptions, the donations, and I can't wait. So my plan for this week, I'm going to get these characters written. I am also going to finish the rule book, which is like 75% done. And yes, I do have an awesome mod team. And I'm going to work on my tech stuff. Like, I got a lot to learn there. I have Adam design me a really awesome overlay that I still don't have up. Thank you very much. Yeah, awesome overlay. My, like, follower notifications aren't working. I'm like, what is even going on? And I just need to kind of buckle down and focus on that. So if you have any questions about Chariot LARP, you can drop them in the chat right now. You can follow up with me as well on the website, or I will also leave you my professional Facebook page, which is Facebook. Hi, new follower. I can't see who you are, but I appreciate you following me. Okay. That is my professional Facebook page. You're welcome to contact me through there, and we'll get you all set up. So thank you so much, everyone, for watching. Stay tuned. Do follow, because we're going to be streaming the whole LARP on here, and it's going to be fantastic. So this is the whole alpha test. We're doing everything transparently. You'll see me on here doing a little bit more game design before I launch too. And I'm already selling tickets to run the full game, and I'm super excited that people are actually interested. So thank you again for showing up, and I will see you guys soon. Bye.